When Biggie Smalls was gunned down in 1997, he left a massive void in hip-hop. The king of New York was gone, and the throne was up for grabs. What followed wasn't just a competition, it was an all-out war between two legends that would produce some of the most vicious diss tracks in history. One line would create a new verb in hip-hop vocabulary. Another would cross lines so personal that even a rapper's own mother would demand an apology. This isn't just any rap beef. This is the story of how Jay-Z and Nas nearly destroyed each other, changed hip-hop forever, and somehow managed to walk away as business partners. Let me take you through hip-hop's most iconic rivalry, the battle that gave us Ether and forever changed how we think about hip-hop warfare. The tension between Jay-Z and Nas didn't start with direct confrontation. Like many historic conflicts, it began with subtle jabs and misunderstandings. The first spark ignited around 1996 during the creation of Jay-Z's debut album, Reasonable Doubt. According to industry rumors, Nas was supposed to feature on the album, but never showed up for the recording session. Despite Nas' absence, his voice still made it onto the album. Producer Ski Beats sampled a line from Nas's The World Is Yours for Jay's track, Dead Presidents 2. This seemingly innocent sample would later be referenced as Jay stealing Nas's voice, a point of contention that would fuel their feud for years. But here's where things get interesting. Just a month after Reasonable Doubt dropped, Nas released his second album, It Was Written. On the track, The Message, he included what many believe was the first subtle shot at Jay-Z with the line, Lex with TV sets the minimum. Why was this a diss? Because in the video for Dead Presidents II, Jay-Z was cruising around in a Lexus GS. Most listeners didn't catch the reference at first, but in an interview with Complex years later, Nas confirmed there was meaning behind those words. He admitted that after seeing Jay with the Lexus, he got rid of his own, suggesting that Jay was merely copying his style. Nas clarified that the line wasn't meant as a harsh diss, but rather to establish that he was on a different level. In his mind, a Lexus was the bare minimum. At this point, they weren't officially beefing. In fact, Jay-Z gave Nas his flowers on the 1997 track, Where I'm From, rapping, I'm from where niggas argue all day about who's the best MCs, Biggie, Jay-Z, or Nas. This showed respect, placing Nas alongside himself and Biggie in the top tier of New York rappers. But then came March 9th, 1997, a date forever etched in hip-hop history. The notorious Big was shot and killed in Los Angeles, and the entire dynamic of New York hip-hop changed overnight. Before his death, Biggie and Jay had been close friends. They even planned a collaborative album called The Commission. After Biggie's passing, Jay released The City Is Mine, which included a tribute to his fallen friend, but also a clear declaration. I'll be holding it down, yo. Let the world know that the city is mine. Jay was officially claiming Biggie's vacant throne. Think about what that meant for New York hip-hop. Jay-Z was essentially saying, I'm next up, but Nas, with his classic Illmatic already cemented as one of the greatest rap albums ever made, felt he had an equally valid claim to the crown. The stage was set for what would become an inevitable collision. The beef remained relatively cold until 1999, when Jay's artist Memphis Bleek entered the picture. On What You Think of That, Bleek rapped, I'm a ball till I fall. What you think of that? This wasn't directly aimed at Nas, but Nas interpreted it as a shot and responded on Nostradamus with, You want a ball till you fall? I can help you with that. You want beef? I could let a slug melt in your hat. Bleek came back on My Mind Right, calling Nas out for allegedly faking his street credentials. Your lifestyle's written, so who you supposed to be? Player. The implication was clear. Nas was a studio gangster, not authentic to the streets he portrayed in his lyrics. What had been a Cold War suddenly started heating up, but the real explosion came when Nas released We Will Survive, a tribute to Tupac and Biggie that included a direct shot at Jay-Z. And these niggas is wrong, using your name in vain, and they claim to be New York's king. Nas was calling Jay out for claiming Biggie's throne while using his name. Now the beef was official. Everyone in the hip-hop community was watching, waiting to see how Jay would respond. They didn't have to wait long. In the summer of 2001, at Hot 97's Summer Jam, one of hip-hop's biggest annual events, Jay-Z delivered a freestyle that initially targeted Mobb Deep's Prodigy. After 32 bars of brutal disses aimed at Prodigy, Jay dropped a bombshell. Ask Naze, he don't want it with Hav. No! Nas responded with the Stillmatic freestyle, where he cleverly called out Jay and his Rockefeller artists, rip the freeway, shoot through Memphis with money bags, stop in Philly, order cheesesteaks, and eat beans fast. This was wordplay targeting Jay's artists Freeway, Memphis Bleak, and Beanie Siegel. Nas also directly challenged Jay's title, remove the fake King of New York. But nobody, not even Nas himself, was prepared for what Jay-Z was about to unleash. Jay's response came in the form of Takeover, possibly the most methodically devastating diss track hip-hop had seen up to that point. After 2 verses aimed at Mobb Deep, Jay dedicated the entire 3rd verse to dismantling Nas's career. He attacked Nas for falling off after Illmatic. Had a spark when you started, but now you're just garbage. Fell from top 10 to not mentioned at all. One of the most memorable lines from Takeover was Jay's mathematical breakdown of Nas's discography. 4 albums in 10 years, nigga? I can divide. That's one every, let's say 2. 2 of them shits was due. One was Nah, the other was Illmatic. That's a 1 hot album every 10-year average. But Jay ended Takeover with a cryptic line that had everyone confused. You know who did you know what with you know who, but let's keep that between me and you for now. No one knew what Jay meant at the time, but as you'll soon discover, this veiled reference would explode into the most personal attack of the entire beef. When Takeover dropped, the hip-hop world thought Nas was finished. Jay had systematically attacked his career, his street credibility, and his relevance. Many fans were already declaring Jay-Z the winner and the undisputed King of New York. But what happened next showed why you should never count out a cornered legend. Nas came back with Ether, a response so devastating that its title would become synonymous with completely destroying someone on a diss track. To this day, when a rapper utterly demolishes an opponent, people say they ethered them. That's how impactful this single song was. Ether was relentless from the very first line. Fuck Jay-Z. Nas attacked everything from Jay's appearance to his integrity. How could Nas be garbage? Semi-autos at your cartilage, burner at the side of your dome. Come out of my throne. I got this locked since '91. He accused Jay of stealing Biggie's style. How much of Biggie's rhymes is gonna come out your fat lips? Nas also called Jay out for sampling his voice. Rockefeller died of AIDS. That was the end of his chapter. And that's the guy you chose to name your company after? Put it together. I rock hoes, y'all rock fellas. The homophobic undertones were harsh even by early 2000s standards, but they reflected the no-holds-barred nature of this battle. The impact of Ether was immediate and enormous. Suddenly, the man everyone had written off came roaring back with one of the most scathing diss tracks ever recorded. The tide had turned. But Jay-Z wasn't about to let Nas have the last word. Approximately a week after Ether dropped, Jay released Super Ugly, a freestyle over Nas's Got Herself a beat. And this is where the beef went from professional to deeply personal. On Super Ugly, Jay confirmed the cryptic line from Takeover by revealing, me and the boy AI got more in common than just ballin' and rhyming. Get it? Warren Carmen? I came in your Bentley back seat, skeeted in your Jeep, left condoms on your baby seat. Jay was claiming that he had been sleeping with Carmen Bryan, Nas's ex-girlfriend and the mother of his daughter. He even suggested he'd left condoms on their child's car seat. Carmen Bryan later confirmed in interviews that she had indeed had a relationship with Jay-Z and even became pregnant by him at one point, though she miscarried. This was a level of personal attack rarely seen even in rap beef. Jay had crossed a line that many felt went beyond music. The reaction was swift, and it came from an unexpected source. Jay-Z's own mother called into Hot 97 after hearing Super Ugly and told her son he had gone too far. Think about that. A hardcore rapper who came up in the streets, who had even shot his own brother as a youth, being chastised by his mother for a diss track. That's how serious this beef had become. In a surprising move, Jay called the radio station and publicly apologized to Carmen Bryan and any other women he might have offended with his lyrics. This didn't mean the beef was over, though. On Blueprint 2, Jay made it clear. I'm back before you had a chance to miss me. My mama can't save you this time, nigga. This is history. Nas responded on Last Real Nigga Alive, where he suggested the beef was already in the past. I was Scarface, Jay was Manolo. It hurt me when I had to kill him and his whole squad for Dolo. Nas was positioning himself as the victor who had moved on. By 2003, the active phase of the beef seemed to be winding down. Jay-Z announced his retirement from rap with the Black Album, and both artists appeared to have moved on from directly attacking each other. The hip-hop community had largely split on who won the battle, with many giving the edge to Nas after Ether, despite Jay-Z's commercial dominance. And then something happened that shocked the entire hip-hop world. In 2005, during Jay-Z's I Declare War concert at Continental Airlines Arena, Jay brought out Nas as a surprise guest. The two former enemies performed together on stage, officially squashing what had been one of hip-hop's most intense beefs. Jay told the crowd, "All that beef shit is done. We had our fun. Let's get this money." This wasn't just a symbolic reconciliation. In 2006, Jay-Z, who had become president of Def Jam Records, signed Nas to the label. The man who had once been his bitterest enemy was now his business partner. It was a stunning conclusion to a story that had defined New York hip-hop for nearly a decade. So who really won? That debate continues to this day. Some say Nas won the battle with Ether, but Jay-Z won the war with his commercial success and executive power. Others believe Nas's artistic integrity gave him the ultimate victory. The truth is, hip-hop itself was the biggest winner. This beef produced classic songs, pushed both artists to their creative limits, and gave us moments that are still studied and referenced decades later. What's most remarkable about the Jay-Z versus Nas beef isn't just how vicious it became, but how it ended. In a genre where conflicts often escalate to violence, these two legends found a way to put their differences aside and even work together. They showed that even the most heated rivalries can eventually give way to mutual respect and collaboration. The story of Jay-Z and Nas reminds us why hip-hop battles matter. They're not just about ego, they're about pushing artists to their creative limits, forcing them to sharpen their skills against worthy opponents. In trying to destroy each other, Jay and Nas actually elevated each other. Each man made the other better. 20 years later, their legendary battle stands as proof that competition, even when it gets ugly, can ultimately lead to greatness. From subtle jabs to Takeover, from Ether to reconciliation, the Jay-Z versus Nas beef gave us more than just entertaining drama. It gave us a blueprint for how rivalries can drive artists to create their most powerful work. And in the end, that's why we're still talking about it today. Not just because of the drama, but because when two of the greatest ever went to war, they didn't just fight for a crown, they fought for their legacies. And in doing so, they both became immortal.